Welcome to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. Writing a book is a dream for many people, and in today's society, it has become easier and more important than ever. If you are an expert, speaker, coach, or an authority in your field, having a book is the new business card. It can increase your credibility, enhance your status, and make you the go-to person in your field, opening doors and bringing a flood of opportunities straight to you. You can increase your fees and start choosing the clients you really want to work with. The Authors Podcast show with Lisa Newton is designed to inspire, educate and inform you, both entrepreneur and individual, on how to write a book, as well as writer's tips and strategies on how to actually get that book written. On today's show, you learn more about how to write a book, including writing ideas, marketing, and how to succeed in getting a book written. Here we go with the Authors Podcast, and here is your host, Lisa Newton.
Welcome to another edition of the Authors Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Newton. In each show, I'll interview an author, asking them about their book or books, how they got started, and what tips they might have for would-be authors who might be out there listening, struggling with how or where to get started, and they're just interested in writing a book. So first of all, without further ado, on the line, let me welcome today's guest, which is Winsome Duncan. Winsome is an award-winning social entrepreneur. She has over 2 decades of experience teaching workshops to disaffected young people at risk. Winsome is passionate about empowering people in the wider community to access opportunities and develop the necessary skills to enhance their socio-economic outcomes. Winsome Duncan is also known in her artistic capacity as lyrical healer, and she has had the pleasure of performing in the Houses of Parliament, Barclays headquarters, Arsenal, Millwall football stadiums and the Royal Festival Hall. Her creative arts company, The Healing Factory, has produced 4 books, with her latest title, 100 Ways to Conquer the Credit Crunch. Winsome also has a second company called Employ Me, which is a not-for-profit organisation that specialises in employability workshops. So, on the line, I should have Winsome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Welcome, Winsome. Do you want to tell the listeners where you are at the moment?
Yes, I am away on a break with some family. I'm in Essex at the moment, and believe it or not, at a children's party.
So if there's lots of screaming kids in the background, that's the children's party going on.
I'm at the top floor though. I've tried to get away, but you know, sound resonates. They're in the garden on the trampoline playing, but it's all part of the ambience, isn't it?
Absolutely. All right then, so let's get started then. So thank you very much, first of all, for being a guest on the show. Introduce yourself, as in what you do in terms of the book writing and sort of how you first got into writing books.
Okay, well, I started writing books in 2016. 2006. I was always a writer. I always loved the way words flowed together. I started off as a poet, and I used to write in school. I used to write poems for my school friends at Valentine's so they can put it in their cards for their boyfriends. And if I was clever, I should have charged £1 a poem, really and truly. So writing has just been something that's naturally gifted to me. And if someone said, you know, write about the bricks and the pavement and the car, I could make a beautiful piece of poetry out of that. So before Lyrical Healer came Winsome Duncan, and I just used to do frame poetry for people's birthdays, and I got the writing bug to write my first collection of poetry in 2006, which was called The Food Spiral, and that was my first poetry book, a collection of 21 poems, and I was the publisher with The Healing Factory. But since then, and I probably should have updated my bio, I've written 6 books now, and my latest title is 100 Ways to Save Money, an Employment Guide.
So 6 books, and are the themes of the books always similar, or I think you said you started with poetry?
Yes, that's correct. No, they're not actually, Lisa, which is really quite interesting because I was told that you must stick to a genre, but I don't need to do anything that people tell me to do. I need to be creative. I need to think outside the box. I need to live what's in me. I need to just express. So, having said that, my books have been about saving money. My books have been about helping people into work and love lost, love hurt. And the next book that I'm going to do is about business. But I think what's more exciting now was, like, since the Healing Factory, they actually published my own book titles. Okay. Now I'm actually publishing other people's titles. So the most recent company, if you will, would be Peaches Publications. And that was started over 14 months ago. So what are we in? We're in 2017. So yeah, 14 months ago from there.
Okay, so 2015.
I'm trying to add up. You're the genius. Work it out for me, darling. Work it out.
2015. Okay, so just tell me the differences between the companies then. So you mentioned the Healing Factory.
Yeah, so that's a creative arts company, actually.
Okay.
We did drama, we did theatre, we did play with early years, we did Augustus Boal, Forum Theatre, we did, where the protagonist was in the character and we would change the scenarios, because that was my background, that's what I grew up on, that's what I learned in terms of my industry and my craft. But because I wanted to publish my books, I expanded it to a company, and I just did the titles for myself because that was just the easiest thing. And I think print on demand, which is how you distribute your books globally, had just started up around that time or a little bit before. So I wasn't even aware of that. Would have been a lot easier back then. So it was me sending the books out with the Healing Factory to people like Amazon, people like gardeners, whereas nowadays with the Peaches Publications, that's all done automatically and they'll just take their fee for postage and unit price. So those are the main differences. And with Peaches Publications, we publish authors. We love working with clients. We work all over the UK. I actually had my first international client last month, which is March. Yeah, I don't think I've told you this, from Nairobi. Oh, wow. He was in Nairobi. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting. In order to publish a book nowadays, you don't even have to be in the same room as that person. Right. You just need a telephone line or a Skype.
So Peaches Publications is the publishing arm of your book publishing business. Okay.
For external authors, for external
authors. Okay.
And I call it Peaches Publication. Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to ask you why peaches? Your favourite colour?
Yeah.
Or fruit?
No. I call it Peaches Publications because life is sweet and life is peachy. Okay. And from my perspective, let's look at the glass as being half full as opposed to half empty.
So this is for external authors. Is there any particular genre you like to specialise in? Or
I will consider all genres. I wouldn't say that we've got an emerging theme as yet. We're fairly new. The only thing, we don't deal in erotica, so things like of that nature we wouldn't publish. Yeah, but I'm open to different types of books. So the books that I've had done, one was an account of a murder that took place in Peckham, real life. Names were changed, so on and so forth, and that was really interesting because it looked about the consequences of how it affected everyone in that circle, mother, children, brothers, judges, police officers, everyone that was involved. So that was quite an interesting book to take on. Then we had another one which was stories from Jamaica. It told tales of slavery, and that was fictional tales, and that was by Linford Sweeney. Then we had a collection of poetry by Carol Campbell. She was actually based in Birmingham, and she had poetry that was God-based, God-centered spirituality, and she wanted to uplift and motivate. Lovely lady. She heard me on the radio and got in contact. And currently I'm doing a book on stress management. So as you can see, the themes don't really correlate. But I would say that the people that I kind of work with are professionals, professional entrepreneurs. That's the best way to describe them.
Okay.
Do you think I should have special theme?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, some people do, some don't, some are open. So a question I like to ask, because sometimes publishing houses are like, oh, only this type, only that type, and maybe over time it might emerge. You were listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. Please do subscribe to, like and share this channel. So just take me back then to the very first book that you wrote. You said that was a collection of poetry.
Yeah.
Was that, the way you wrote that, was that over the years, like the collection, when was the first poem written? When was the last poem written?
Gosh, you're making me think now. So it was written over the years.
No,
and
the reason I ask, I find it very interesting because I know there are people out there that write poetry and they've got loads of poems, probably over 100, and they could take maybe the best however many and publish them in some sort of book. And it's just interesting to me, like, over what time span, because I'd imagine as you write more poetry you get better. So maybe it's the later poems you include as opposed to the earlier ones, but I don't know. So tell me.
Well, it was written over a period of time, I believe, and I think that period was approximately just under 2 years.
Okay.
And I never knew that I really wanted to write a book. I would just write, and then one day I had the idea of, this is a collection of poetry. And that particular book is a classic now because you can't get it online unless I republish it. But the whole idea of it, and I worked with an artist in Miami who did the designs, Vince, lovely guy. The whole idea of it was just to really talk about body image, because I'm quite a shapely, voluptuous, curvaceous author. And I've always been that way. And I think when you go through in life, you tend to sometimes be invisible or frowned upon, or just all kinds of issues come up when you are overweight. And the whole idea was to look at compulsive eating, which is overeating of food. Look at it as a disease next to anorexia, next to bulimia. It's the same disease type, but just in a different form. And it was just to address these issues of being shapely and living in this world that is based on looks. So it's actually quite painful to put together, but nevertheless it was therapeutic, cathartic.
Okay, it's very interesting. And were there other books similar, or did you not look? Was this your idea and you thought, I wouldn't mind putting this together?
At that time it was just my idea, and I thought I wouldn't mind putting it together. I wasn't that savvy. I just wanted to write. I wanted to write a book. It probably was a lot more expensive back then, self-publishing it, because I took it to the authors and got it published, and I didn't understand what I understand. I didn't understand what I understand now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Understood what I understand now. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so it was just a desire to really want to write and have a piece of work and be an author. And I didn't think really any much further than that, just to put together the collection of work.
And so fast forward to present day now then. So you've got your 6th book out there, and that one is 100 Ways to
Save Money.
What gave you the idea for that book?
Well, I started my business Employ Me when I was unemployed in 2013. I was at a job centre for the 3rd time in my life, felt depressed, felt isolated, felt really down. And I just thought, how can I be here again? No money, blah, 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 blah. And I just knew that I wanted something different. I knew that this time when I do go to work, I don't want someone to tell me, oh, no, we don't need you, because I was at an agency, teaching agency at the time. And that's what the conversation was. Well, it wasn't even a conversation. My agency just told me no, not to go back. And that's the nature of it. I understand that. But it was just before Easter, and I just didn't want to be put in a position where I would have someone tell me that I'm not coming back to work. So I set up my company back then, and really just took the bull by the horns and decided that I was going to do my own businesses. This was the first one. So that particular book, I took it to the job centre. Well, what it was, the book itself was it was a different title, which you read out before, 100 Ways to Save Money in a Credit Crunch. And I took that to the job centre. I was like, yeah, this is my business, because I was like, I want to publish books. And he sat there and he told me, well, this is not going to be a lucrative business. And I was so angry. But what he did say was to go away and build around it, build some workshops around it. So I got my mentor, Lorna Stewart, who was my new mentor at the time. She deals with corporates, amazing woman. Definitely look her up. She does the Black 100 Plus awards, of which I was awarded. So she started to help me, and we sat down and we developed all what we could provide as employ me in terms of pre-employability training, business startup, CV writing, employment law workshops, so on and so forth. And what we did was we changed the title, so it then became 100 Ways to Save Money, and we had an employment guide, because there was an A to Z employment guide to self-employment in the book. And then that way, when we did our workshops, we could use that as a resource, as a tool, and purchase more books for the clients that we worked with. And everything was rebranded. I took a loan from the job centre for £1,000 and just rebranded it all. So, and I haven't looked back, being full-time employed. I haven't looked back since. And I really like, although it's challenging, I do like being my boss, and I just hate people telling me what to do. I hate it. Yeah, I'm a bit of a stubborn one.
Oh. Okay, no, that's excellent. Very encouraging. You are listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. Please do subscribe to, like and share this channel, because there's a lot of people out there that would like to, say, write a book, or would like to work for themselves, or sort of take the bull by the horns, as you've said, and do their own thing. But many of them, I don't know, maybe it's fear that stops them. But they don't.
You know what it is, Lisa? Many are called, but few are chosen. A lot of people can sit down, ramble off of their mouths about who they want to be, where they want to be, what they want to go, what they want to write. But it's the ones that get up and take action, be proactive, and find solutions to what it is that they want to write to. Those are the ones that will get a book done, because I've talked to a lot of potential authors who, want to be published, and that's what makes the difference. It's actually doing it. I don't know if it's fair. I don't buy into that, I don't think. I'm not convinced.
But what is it then that is stopping them? I know you say a few were chosen, but that it's almost as though it's an external. It's not coming from within them. Then it's something external that is saying, we're choosing you.
They're stopping themselves, because they're sitting on the sidelines of their lives. They're stopping themselves. If they've got a story to tell, they've got to tell it. I mean, some people might find it scary, maybe because I've written so many books and I find it easy or whatever, but I'm just very cut and dry about this, If you want to tell your story, if you want to live what's in you, if you want to leave the knowledge that you have for the next generation, then you must do it. And you must find ways to do it, and you must push through whatever is stopping you, whether it's children, keeping the house, your job, whatever challenges you're going through, you must find a way. I had a lovely lady attend our workshop. She was like 5 months pregnant and she had 3 children, but she found a way to come. She didn't let that stop her, and she came.
Excellent.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely. So we're going to go into this. We're going to dive into this a bit more deeply. For those of you just tuned in, I am talking to Winsome Duncan, the managing director of Peaches Publication. And Winsome helps people, authors, to get their book written. And we're talking about what is stopping people, or why some people do it and others don't. Those who are really dedicated will find a way. And those who won't, they sit on the sidelines, as you say, Winsome.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you can't even say money's going to stop you. Because really and truly, if you don't want to pay a publisher to self-publish your books, fine. Go online and learn how to do it. If you haven't got a laptop or a computer at home, fine. Go to the library and use theirs for free for 2 hours. If you don't know how to learn use a computer, learn. Break it down into bite-sized chunks. Break it down so you can be able to get to where you want to go at the end of your goal.
Right. But what about if for those people out there, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and I hear it all the time. They'll say, "Oh, but I haven't got enough time. I just don't have the time."
Well, then they don't want it bad enough. I don't have the time to sit down and write books, but I make the time because it's something I want to do. And I just think in life, whether it's writing a book or whatever it is, learning a new skill or learning, going back to university, people do. I know it sounds harsh. Maybe, you've just got me on a day where I'm just telling it as it is, but people do what they want to do. Yeah, people make priorities for what they want to make priorities. Now, those same busy people, if that said to them, right, meet me at 5 o'clock in Essex at the station and I'll give you £500,000. Whatever they're doing just doesn't become important, does it? And their main objective by hook or crook is to get to that station for 5 o'clock.
So it's priorities. They're just not making it a priority.
Yep. And you've got to put books into your structure. People think that it's easy to write a book. If you know the formula, yeah, it becomes easier. But to sit down and type, or to sit down and write, or to sit down and scribe, or record your voice, it requires time. And time is the most precious commodity that we have as humans.
Absolutely. So, knowing what you know now, would you do anything differently? So you did say that you've learned a lot over the years. If I was new coming into this, and obviously you've been in the game a long time, so you know what you're doing. As a newbie, what would kind of be the biggest lesson you've learned in the whole process? Because like you said, you've done this several times, and maybe for you it will be slightly easier than for someone who's never done it. But what's kind of like the biggest thing, or the biggest challenge you've overcome, or the biggest lesson you've learned in the whole sort of book publishing world, if you like?
That comes to me straight away. Make sure you get a qualified proofreader. Crucial. Very important. A lot of the time authors say, my friend read it, or my English teacher read it, or this one read it, uncle read it. But if you want to bring it up to industry book standards, you need a proofreader. And the biggest lesson that I learned was not to use online websites like, say, People Per Hour to be my proofreaders, because they didn't do a good job, and there was errors in the book, and it was a costly mistake, and the book needed to be out a certain time. So it's definitely not advisable. It took me ages to get my proofreader, Joanna Oliver. She's a lecturer at a university, and the test that I gave her was 2 crucial elements in terms of the dialogue, and she got it. She went through it and she spotted it, and by that time I'd gone to 5 people independently as proofreaders. And they're expensive. Proofreaders are expensive. That's what happened.
So you need certain people in your team help get the book at its very best, and proofreaders
finest.
That was
the biggest lesson that I've learned. Big. Because no one wants to read a book. It spoils your reading pleasure. A book with lots of errors in it. It really does.
Oh no, definitely. You were listening to the Authors Podcast with me, your host, Lisa Newton. You can email me, lisa@lisanewton.co.uk. And remember, we have the Inner Circle, which is for writers just like you, and you can join us at writeabook.net. On that note then, because there are proofreaders, and their job is to spot errors, I suppose, but some people kind of can give suggestions on how things might be written better.
Yes, right. That's very good thinking. I like you. So here's the thing, right? With R1, we just do a standard proofreading. So that looks at the sentence structure, that looks at the samtext of a sentence, and it looks at the grammar of a sentence. And then what we have is something called a critical friend, which is a little bit more extra, and that would as she reads it, she will tell you about the continuity of the book and where it perhaps needs to be developed more, or where it perhaps needs strengthening, or things could be taken out, or chapters could be swapped around. And I think that's crucial as well, because you've got to remember that not, anyone could essentially be a writer, but not everyone's a gifted writer.
Right.
Now, my sort of joy comes from editing. I'm a little bit of a nerd. I love editing and typesetting, and I don't know why, because they're very time consuming. But I love it. I love making things succinct and precise and tightened and so on and so forth. So when I edited a music industry book that I'm working on at the minute, although it was a lengthy process, it was really good putting it into, standard English dialogue and just really tidying it up nicely. So yeah, Critical Friend is really good in terms of getting feedback about the actual tone of the work and where you could sort of tidy it up a little bit, give it a bit of pizzazz, bit of polishing up, that kind of thing.
Okay. And I mean, you said that you enjoy proofreading. Are you an avid reader? Do you like to read a lot?
No, I don't enjoy proofreading. I'm not a proofreader. I enjoy editing.
So
I'm dyslexic.
Oh,
I can't proofread to save my life.
Oh, wow. How interesting.
I can't proofread to save my life. No. But again, I didn't let my dyslexia stop me. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I just sort of pushed on through, really.
Yeah.
Why should the learning difficulty stop me? I can't really write properly. I write in scribbles, and then I read back my work and I think, oh, what does that say? But yeah, no, I wouldn't dare let that stop me. But to be honest with you, can I tell you a secret, Lisa?
Go ahead.
I don't actually read as much as I should. I'm naughty, aren't I?
Well, I just find it interesting because sometimes some people, they prefer to listen to books as opposed to read them. So I just think it's interesting. I think I always thought sort of reading, writing go hand in hand.
I'm trying to change because leaders are readers,
Yes.
so I've been told. But you're right, I do listen to audiobooks, and the latest one that I'm listening to was the one from the lovely Chandra, the writer of Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
The Year of Yes.
Oh.
And it's really interesting because I find her tone quite monotone, but I can take it in small bits, and it is a very, very, very good read. She's very decorative with her wording, and when I'm up and around and tidying up the house, that's a brilliant one. I started to do, what's that book about Babylon? Oh gosh, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay, by George Clason. Yep.
Have you read that?
Absolutely, timeless classic.
Oh my goodness! Wow, is it good?
Fantastic. And it's that one's actually quite a quick read, probably like 30 minutes. Get through that one.
Oh, are you a speed reader?
No, but I suppose I read quickly, but that doesn't. It's just because, well, for me, finance books, personal finance, I love books like that. So yeah, that was so good. I bought that, gave it to my mum, and then I don't know what she did with it. I think she lent it to someone. It's a very good book. Very good book.
Well, I started listening to that, and I think it's The Alchemist.
Yeah.
But they're quite well, when I say technical, I couldn't get into it straight away, so I have to go back and finish those off because I have heard how good they are.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So more of an audiobook person.
Okay, fair enough. And have you turned any of your books into audio?
Only one,
okay.
Which was the latest one, 100 Ways to Save Money, and that's a 3-part audio, and there's a clip online for 10 top tips to get into work. So, if people want to have some tips along that, they can just type that title in, and it should come up, and it's a free, clip on YouTube. I think about 5-6 minutes. So yeah, I've done an audiobook. Yeah, one.
Okay. The listeners want to get hold of that. remind us again. So what would they type in?
So I've done a little sample chapter, which is 10 top tips to get employed.
Okay.
And they just type that in and then Winsome Duncan, and it actually should come up. The audio books aren't available online. They're available directly from me. So you just have to contact me through any of my social medias. If you just tap in my name, Winsome Duncan, I can sort that out through PayPal. But you can get the paperback version of it online. And funnily enough, my readers tend to like paperback, which is really interesting.
No, definitely. Myself, I'm not really a Kindle person. I am still good old fashioned paper. And I know people have said, oh, Kindles are amazing. If you go on holiday, you can take a whole library of books with you. And I do like to read, but I like the sensation of just flicking through the pages and putting in my bookmark. The physical aspect of it. Well, that's just me. I've not quite got into the Kindle thing as yet myself.
So if I brought you a Kindle book for your birthday, what would happen?
I'm sure I'd make some use of it, but
It's going in the cupboard.
yeah, I mean, I just, what I tend to do if I'm away and I've got books on me, like I'm always in the library, so I'll have a book always on me, always. But if I go away, I tend to have a book that I'll leave on the bookshelf of wherever I'm staying, and perhaps take a book back with me. So I just think books can, travel around the world that way. So, I like doing that. It's just.
But do you know, with the Kindle book, they've actually got ones that supposed to resemble papers. Do you know that?
No, I'll confess I don't know that much about how Kindles work. I see people on the tube all the time with them. I think that's what they are. I've looked at a screen and it doesn't actually glare, so it's quite like a flat dual screen, which I suppose makes it easy on the eye. So.
Well, you're not alone. I don't own the Kindle either, and I don't really see what the fuss is about. But, it is one of the ways to diversify your income, and it does make money, and you get more of a percentage of sales through Kindle.
Do a Kindle book.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So those just tuning in, I'm talking to Winsome Duncan, who is the managing director of Peaches Publication, and Winsome helps authors to turn their work into books, or should I say would-be authors, would-be writers, to turn their ideas into a book. Winsome, I was at this event at the weekend, and apparently the guy on the stage, he said 7 in 10 people actually want to write a book. So why do you think so many people aspire to wanting to write a book specifically? What do you think it is about writing?
I'd like to know where he got those
I know, from. Me too.
It's quite high, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
7 in 10 want to write a book. I think that people have a need to want to tell their story. I think it's quite cathartic for them. I think that when you write a book, especially if it's non-fiction, you become a consultant of that subject and potentially could upsell to other products and services that you have because you're an expert, or you're seen as an expert in that field. The average book life of one title would be 300 books sold of its whole life.
Oh, wow.
Title.
Okay.
If you sell any more than that, then you might be in competition with J.K. Rowling. You might be a bit lucky, but
so an average book title in its entire life sells 300 copies.
Yes.
Wow.
And normally people tend to make back their money by then if they did self-publish.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Do you think that's a lot or small? Or?
I wouldn't say that's very, very many. But I don't know where they get these numbers from.
Yeah, because think about it. It will go to their family and their friends. And that's probably about the limit of it, because, again, they say, oh, I don't really use social media. Oh, I'm not on LinkedIn. Oh, I'm not on Twitter. And how I see that, you're just putting one block in front of the other. You might as well build a concrete wall. Oh, I don't like being on camera. And I'm just, wakey, rise and shine. You want to sell books? You want to make money? Then you're going to have to look at marketing that product. But a lot of them just actually want just to have it family and friends. It really depends on your need. They don't even care if they don't make money from it or not.
Well,
You know, it's a very personal thing, writing a book. Very
that
personal.
used to be called vanity publishing, I think it's called, where people just wanted the book for themselves, not even really necessarily for anybody else.
Really?
That's what they used to call it, vanity publishing, where people just, they just, if they're not really willing to market it as such, but they just want to have a book to say they've got a book, it was called vanity publishing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. See, that's interesting. I'm learning too. But to go back to your question, 7 out of 10 authors or potential authors, why would they want to write a book? I guess they just want to live what's in them. That's what Les Brown says, my mentor. You know, they want to tell their story. They want to know that they existed long after they've gone into the ether, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Something of their legacy is left behind.
Wow. And I suppose a book is one of the best ways to do that.
Yeah, because if you get it catalogued in the British Library, which has 6 deposit offices in the UK, you know, children years and years to come can look at your books from researching, because everything's online now.
Yes, that's very
so
true.
If they were doing an essay for uni or something like that.
That's very true.
It's very important. Very, very, very important.
Okay. And just in terms of your writing, like what's your process? How do you go about it? Do you like to write a little bit every day? Do you sort of get it all down at once? How do you do it?
Seclusion.
Okay.
Isolation. Turn off my phone. Turn off the internet. Let me write. I cannot be interrupted when I'm writing or editing or in my flow. My phone cannot be pinging and I'm looking at my phone. I'm just not that type of writer. Ideally, I would like to go, you know, away and write, go abroad or whatever. But yeah, I'm not that type of writer. I just like to get it done. I'm not pick up, put down person. Just let's get it done. Let's just set aside this time to do it. I mean, I wrote a book in 24 hours.
Okay.
But because it's a pen name, I can't actually tell you what it is. But yeah, it's a pen name, and it was a book that perhaps people might not think I've been known for. And for your listeners out there, a pen name is a fictitious name that authors use when they're writing about subjects that perhaps are different or diverse. So, for example, if you've got a author that writes about, let's say, astronomy, and then they want to do a book about erotica, you might not want those two paths to cross. So the erotica will have a pen name, so they can't connect it directly to the astronomer. So
okay, that's very interesting. So if there's people out there that are maybe thinking, oh, what I want to write about is a bit risque, and I don't want anyone to read my work and feel, oh my goodness, what have you been getting up to?
Exactly. 50 Shades of Grey.
Exactly. You could do that under a pen name, a fictitious name. But then, you know, if it starts to do really well, don't you want to, I don't know, I suppose you can't, you have to always remain anonymous, I suppose. Otherwise,
it's an independent decision. If it started to do very well, you might want to step out of the shadows and bring your thong or whatever you got along. But yeah, it's really independent. But it does give you a certain type of freedom.
Yes.
Because when I write in that mode, I'm someone else. I'm not Winsome Duncan. I just become the character.
Yes.
And in that character can do things that are so far removed from me that there's no embarrassment to write that story or to tell that story.
No, very interesting.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Have you got a pen name?
I don't actually. No, because all the books I've done thus far have all been sort of factual, so there's nothing that I wouldn't want to be associated with directly as such right now. But I do know what you mean, because sometimes, you know, some books are almost autobiographical in a sense, and a lot of the information in the books, the research from the characters and stuff is personal, and people might be able to connect it to themselves. So
that's why they need a pen name, and that's actually a good point that you made, because that's when it becomes, for legal purposes and legalities. So I totally, definitely, especially if crimes have taken place in that autobiographical story, definitely put it as a pen name or some. It's just safeguarding yourself from being sued.
Absolutely. You were listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. Please do subscribe to, like and share this channel. Okay, so you help people to get their books written. So if someone's out there thinking, I want to write a book, how might they be able to work with you?
Okay, so there's a process. We have a 6-step process to writing a book. And we also do a 20-minute free consultation. So I think the first thing that I would do, it'd be a conversation, but what I would say is, I'd say, what's your email address? And then I'd email them a form. It's called Tell Us About Your Book form. And it's just A4, and they'll fill it out and they'll explain what their book is, if it's been proofread, what size they want, stuff like that. Just generic stuff that gives me insight. And what that does, it separates those that are serious and those that are not. Because when I first started out, Lisa, I'd be on the phone for hours talking to these prospects and nothing would come of it. So if someone's serious about writing a book, then they'll fill out the form, send it, and then we can have our 20-minute free consultation, either on the phone or we can do a video call, whatever's there, up to them, So once that process is done, they will make a decision as to what type of packages that they would want. But it's a different question. If you're asking me how to write a book, then you want a book mentor like myself to sit down and coach and give you ideas, and we put the chapter structures together, and then you go away and write. That's going to take time, and it will take as much time as the author's required. So I would say, okay, do this, do that, and then bring it back to me. I work with them on a minimum of 4 sessions. But if you're saying that you want to publish a book and you've got the manuscript ready, then we give that process up to 12 weeks, because the longest thing in that process is proofreading and editing, and typesetting as well. So sometimes the book's not edited, it's just typesetted. So those are the longest parts of the process. And basically the manuscript will come to us and we take a look, we'd give our recommendations, start working on the cover. Sometimes authors have their own covers. And from that, we'll give them a date for the manuscript to be typeset. And typesetting, basically, for your listeners, is the book industry standard format that the book is laid out in, so it's not messy, and it hasn't got double spaces here and lines are disjointed. It's just to make sure that it's nice and neat. So it gives you a top quality reading experience, really. Yes. And once that's gone back to the author and been approved, then we go for our first proof copy of the book. So the proof is the prototype. I always love that, because it's the first. It's the first. So you go for the proof, and then you'll have a look at it, see if you're happy with it, or if there needs to be any spelling changes, grammar changes, all of these kind of standard stuff. And that would be the point with your proof book, that you would need to say, right, could we add this? Could we take that out? Could we make that change? Because then after that, you would sign it off and say, right, you're happy with the final changes, and then we go to print.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's 2 different things: how to write and how to publish.
Right. Okay. Yes, that's true. That's true. Some people have already got the book sort of finished, and others are still at the early stages, just maybe thinking about it.
Yes, definitely. And in addition to that, I'll give them a launch checklist, because people make me laugh. They really do, Lisa. You think you might know something, but then there's crucial things that you will miss. And at the launch, it's about making sure that you can sit down and sign and get your book sold. because that could be the only place where you sell the majority of your 300 copies of books. Do you see what I mean? So there's things that you need to put in place to make sure things run smoothly. So we've got a checklist that the authors can work with and tick off and make sure they've got the right product and merchandise there on the day. And we also provide a 6-month marketing strategy, media strategy, to help sell more books, because I would like them to sell more. Who doesn't want to earn an extra income? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay, and how can we get in touch with you? I know you said social media, but give us your Twitter handle.
Okay. Well, we don't have a specific Twitter handle for Peaches Publications. Probably now, after this conversation, we might have to.
But what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you, though?
Visit our website, www.peachespublications.co.uk, or peachespublications.com, whether you're in America, UK. So just pop onto the website. They've got a contacts page. Drop us a note. We'd love to hear from you. We do have a Facebook page if you'd like to like it. So it's www.facebook.com/Peaches Publications. And I'm guessing after today we're going to have a Twitter page as well. So I'll let you know about that online. But yeah, get in touch, drop us a message. See what testimonials we've got. There's lots of videos on there of explaining barcodes, explaining the process, the 6 steps process to publishing. Just go online, have a look at some of the testimonials of people that have attended our workshop. Just have a little nose around and see how you feel about it all.
Excellent. So Peaches, like the fruit, Publications with an S?
With an S, it's plural, yes.
.co.uk or .com.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, and it will be in the notes section of the podcast as well for those who haven't got a pen and it flies through one ear and out the other. So, sometimes you're listening to podcasts and you're just like, oh my gosh, what did they say again? So it will be in the notes section. So what's the best thing or the worst thing about being an author, do you think, Winsome?
Oh, gosh, that's a good one. Wow. Okay, so the best thing about being an author is having your book in your hand that is printed. It's like having a baby. It's like giving birth. That's the best way to describe it, because it's a labour of love. It's something, if you imagine, was on the inside of you. It was just a thought. It was just an idea. And you somehow have had the discipline, the commitment, the dedication to pull it out into the physical realm and create it into a hardback, paperback, audio, created it into some sort of physical format. So I think that is for me, that's the best feeling ever, when I get that first copy in my hand. I see my baby. That there's nothing that triumphs that. Even if there's 1 or 2 grammatical mistakes, I still love it. It's my baby. And then I think for me, the worst thing about being an author is having all of these big corporates that saturate the market, that don't even want to consider, authors like myself, and just want to do a money-making scheme. And, if you do go with a corporate, you'll be lucky if you get like 22 pence per copy of your book. And it was funny, I had a conversation with someone who, I'm not going to say the name of the publisher, but, very well known, everyone knows this publisher. And they got on the books, they got published, and not one piece of marketing was done.
Wow.
Not one. And I was absolutely horrified. Awful. It's awful, Lisa, honestly, and that's the worst thing, not being able to get your book in front of the right people and in front of the right audience. But we've just teamed up with an awesome PR company that just specializes in books PR, and we're just doing a partnership. So we're going to be announcing that on the website in the next couple of weeks. So we're really happy, because that in itself will give opportunities to get your book out to more people in order for it to sell. Because there's nothing like having a pile of books and it's not selling. It's not nice. Not a nice feeling at all.
No, absolutely. And I think that you're very good at marketing and publicity. And like you said earlier on, though, it's about getting yourself out there, and many people don't. So if you're a shy and retiring author, and you want to write a book, but you're like, oh no, I don't want all of those, I don't want to be out there, like, on social media. I want to have a private life. What is it possible? Can you do that, or is it just sort of impractical?
Well, it's interesting because I sort of heard bits and pieces of that question. It was cutting in and that, but I think I understand what you're asking me. So look, here's the thing: if you're not social media savvy, outsource online and get people to get involved that know what they're doing and let them promote it. And you can be an author and not necessarily be in the limelight as well. It's such a personal thing that you can tailor make it to what your aims and objectives are. But if you want to write a book and you feel that that's a burning desire within, you must live what is in you. We are not promised tomorrow. We're not promised the next hour. So many things are going wrong in the world today. You have a duty to yourself to tell your story. And if you want to do that privately, your own personal collection for you and the family, just do it. Like Nike would say, just do it.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Just do it. Excellent. So on that note, I want to thank my special guest for this week, Winsome Duncan, who is the Managing Director of Peaches Publications. Once again, if you want to get in touch with Winsome, you can do so on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Peaches Publications with an S plural. On the website, there is a contact form and plenty of more information about how you can get in touch with Peaches, look at the testimonials and looking at how the 6-step process to publishing works. And the website is www.peachespublications.com and peachespublications.co.uk. Any final words, Winsome?
Yes, I just think that you are awesome.
Thanks. I'm not paying you to say that.
Yes, she is. No, she's not. No, I do. I really I respect what you're doing, Lisa. We speak a lot and we have intriguing conversations about the book industries and stuff like that. And I'm always open to learning, and I think that it's wonderful to see powerhouse females out there. But that aside, what I would say to anybody that's listening to this podcast, I might have sounded a bit harsh in places. It's just the spirit of the mood that I'm in. But the only reason why I do that is because I want you to succeed and I want you to achieve and I want you to tell your story and I want you to live what's in you, and I don't want you to go to the grave without having done that. So if it's something that you want to learn more about, then delve into it. Just be encouraged, be inspired. You can do it. It might take a little bit of time, but if with discipline and scheduling, you can tell your story.
Absolutely.
So be encouraged, ladies and gentlemen. Be encouraged.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been Lisa Newton talking to Winsome Duncan. You're listening to the Authors Podcast. On each show, I interview an author and we get to talking about books, publishing, what authors and would-be authors shouldn't be doing. And just one final question, Winsome. So the book that you mentioned, your latest book, which was 100 Ways to Save Money.
Yep.
Where are listeners able to get hold of that book?
So it's on Amazon, it's on Kindle. You can download it for those of you that have your trusted Kindle. And if you want a audio copy, you can get that directly from me. Just contact me via the website www.peachespublications.co.uk or .com, or go online on Facebook. And do look out for my 7th book, called The Boss Factor.
Excellent.
Coming soon this year, 2007.
17.
Yes.
Excellent.
It's about to go back in
Do you
time.
know what I mean? Okay, so thank you all listeners for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next show.
You have been listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton, sponsored by Boogles Limited. Tweet the show at Boogles_books, spelled BOOGLEZ_books. You can also contact your host via the email address lisa@lisanewton.co.uk. And if you want to join our authors community, join the inner circle at www.writeabook.net. You have just been listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. See you next time.